It's social studies time. Are you looking for a real-life role model? Do you want to teach students? History has as many her stories as his stories, all full of excitement, grit, and amazing positive, true life lessons. Well, let me introduce you to Molly Bannaky. You'll never guess whose grandma she became. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This historical biography tells the story of Molly Bannaky, a dairymaid in England. The time was 1683. Times were tough and laws were strict. After accidentally spilling a pail of cow's milk, Molly was sent to court. This was an act of breaking the law in England. Punishment could be death at the gallows. Luckily for Molly, as she stood before the court, she was able to read the Bible, a feat that proved to save her life. For her punishment, she was sent to the New World as an indentured servant. Her sentence was 7 years long, to be served on what is now Maryland's Eastern Shore. She was only 17 years old, no family, alone in a strange new world, enduring a long, treacherous ship ride. Then 7 years of hard labor as a planter on a farm. These circumstances are what shaped Molly Bannaky to be the amazing, self-sufficient woman she became. Author Alice McGill, who is a professional storyteller and writer, brings Molly Bannaky to life, showing her strength and grit. Alice McGill has written many books that deal with African American issues. Alice says, quote, "Knowing one's culture, own culture, is to know oneself. To learn and respect the culture of others is to become educated." Alice McGill has written a number of other children's stories. One titled Way Up Over Everything is a story of a great-grandmother's account of times as a slave. In Sure as Sunrise, she shares stories from her mother, father, grandmother, and neighbors' accounts of times long ago. And in The Hollow of Your Hand, a collection of slave lullabies, where they were sung to give hope for a better time. Illustrator Chris Soonpeat is an award-winning illustrator whose work reflects his interest in people, history, and culture, as is evident in the beautiful, historically accurate paintings that represent Molly Bannaky. The story of Molly Bannaky can take your students to a time in Maryland's history when life was very different from the life we know today. A lesson idea to help your students understand this time in history could be to have them become reporters for a local town newspaper, perhaps where Molly lived. Their audience would be their peers. They would be writing in the form of a newspaper article. The topic students would cover is what it is like making it in the world when you are different and face many challenges, just like Molly Bannaky. Molly Bannaky's story reminds me so much of another strong historical figure in our history, Harriet Tubman. Both strong, brave women, well ahead of their time. Molly Bannaky seemed to march to the beat of her own drum. I identify with that drum beat. Molly's example of rising to the challenges life brings is a wonderful, real-world life lesson that would be a great gift to share with your students. This historical story of life of Molly Bannaky would provide interest to all who read. Want to address some Bloom questions with your class? Looking at Level 5, Evaluating, Justifying a Decision, ask your class, what do you think it was like for Molly and Bannaky to get married? Another question could be Level 2, Understanding. This is when students explain ideas and concepts. Have students do the following. Can you write in your own words what Molly's ship ride in the crowded ship was like, and why? Another Bloom question that's found in level 3 is applying. If you could talk to Molly Bannaky, what one question would you ask? So, whose grandmother is Molly anyway? Benjamin Banneker is who? Thank you, Molly, for the gift of your amazing grandson.